Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome to another weekend update. So last weekend, we anticipated a pullback into this channel and a potential move to the trend line, and that played out. And so far, you can see that we've pretty much, right, we hit the trend line and we've kind of been consolidating sideways. So the market kind of, you know, has multiple options at the moment to kind of decide, which way it wants to go. And one such option, right, given that CPI is coming, is that you can see that this trend line is acting as resistance. And I'm sure everyone's pointed that out. But one such option is, right, CPI could cause a potential B wave dip towards like 3,800-ish, 3,850, which gets bought up and we push hard for the C wave, right? Alternatively, another scenario that I'm watching is we actually break this trend line, right? We could go sideways for a couple of days, but on CPI, you can see so far we've played out this red, right? We're in the red, we're inside a green count in the red, which means this pullback is your wave 2 before a 3, 4, 5, and wave 3. And again, this is a very bullish case on the assumption that if CPI is bullish and we do break the trend line, we're very likely going to rally up to 4,300, 4,450. So this is the alternate bull case that I'm watching, and it could be very similar previously to a July-August rally. Seasonality-wise could make a lot of sense as well, right? And besides these two scenarios, there is another scenario I'm watching, and again, that doesn't mean, right? It's a very similar looking chart, except I think that, this is your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? A false break before a move down for the B wave over another C wave. So this is something I'm also alternatively watching as well. It's very likely that we could have a false break to trap everybody who thinks that, if we break out, we're likely going to do this. So that is something I'm keeping an eye on as well. So yeah, bigger picture wise, I'm either looking for this rally to peter out, come down for the B wave, or I'm looking for this to break out, stabilize, and then pop to 4,300, 4,400. So that's kind of what I wanted to give an index update about. With that being said, let's look at this week's watch list, right? Yeah, you'd kind of be surprised to have the stock on this week's watch list, but you can see since September, right, for almost 3 months, GME has kind of gone sideways in a range. And if GME were to break this range, right, let's say break over 28.5, then GME very likely is again gonna, a range break usually leads to a very large move, and that's kind of what I'm watching at the moment, right? If GME does break the range, it should have a very nice move to the upside, right? At least 20-30% back up. Right now it's under this channel. If it pops back into this channel, it should be able to move up right back into the channel. So GME pretty interesting. I thought I'd put it on this week's watch list, given that it is looking to be setting up pretty well if it were to break this resistance, or we could still be stuck, kind of stuck in that zone. With that being said, I think oil could be weak, right? Kind of see and stop that this was here trend line, kind of retested it, kind of going sideways, kind of distributing, but that doesn't mean it has to break down. But if we, draw a channel, you can see holding as support, holding as resistance. If this breaks lower, right, stop should come down to test like 139, 137. If it can break over 154, then it can go back higher into like 165, 170. Same for like ZOM, right? You can kind of see the same channel. Would distribute in between, right, before it picks a direction, but a break of this trend line will likely bring it back down to the bottom of this channel. So it's kind of why I have oil, like I mentioned, right? Looking at US oil, we're either two scenarios. We're either going to reject this area, right, come back to 66, or if this can break over 84, you can see these resistance clouds, right? It should be able to run back up to 95, 97. So it's kind of the two options on oil, right? The next one I have is Tesla, and I think Tesla, again, you can see we pushed up to this previous resistance level, kind of pull back a little bit. I feel as long as it can stay and hold over 181, Tesla should be able to push up to like 214. Again, bigger picture, this was the trend line, holding support, resistance, right? This is the channel. You can see first time we rejected the channel. The next time, if it can base and break over 180, 190, right? That's kind of my trigger. Break over 190, then Tesla likely has a very large move to 215, 220, right? So Tesla break this downtrend should be able to run up. So that's the reason I have Tesla on this week's watch list. And the next one for this week that I have is BABA. So this is kind of what I have for most China stocks, right? I kind of have this finishing this wave 3, right? Could push a little more, but I do think China stocks come down for this wave 4 in the coming week before it moves higher for the wave 5. So again, BABA, KVEP, whatever, kind of the same pattern you can kind of see across different stocks is this is your wave 5, right? Finishing your wave 3. They're going to come down for this wave 4, right? Before they move higher for the wave 5. So kind of the same thing. So I thought China could potentially be an interesting short in the week, right? Give it a few hours to peter out before it comes down for this wave 4. With that being said, let's look at the last one on this week's watch list. And that one's TDOC. Again, it's kind of like an oversold growth play, right? You can see this kind of the trend line holding a support. And you can see it's kind of consolidating sideways. And again, kind of a downtrend breakout, sort of, right? So yeah, DDOG again, I think can, right? As long as it breaks over 75, 76, should be able to push up to like 80, 90 in the near future, kind of channel surf is kind of what I'm thinking. So that's the reason I have DDOG calls, and it's kind of the watch list for today. Have a great